With Shazam hitting theaters this weekend, I thought this to be a perfect time to take a look back at what has come before Shazam and talk about the top 3 positive things about the DCEU. What are your top 3 positive things about the DCEU? Let's talk in the comments. Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my look at the top 3 positive things about the DCEU. The DCEU has hit a lot of bumps along the way as it's tried to get its universe going and all that fun stuff, and it's very easy to take a look at those negatives and continue to focus on them. And if you go back to my channel, you'll see my fair share of criticisms and kind of looking at the negatives here. So I thought this would be a good video taking a look at the positives of the DCEU as we head into seeing Shazam this weekend. So now I open it up to you as well. In the comments, what are your top 3 positives for the DCEU? Number 1, great casting. I feel like the casting throughout the DCEU has been fantastic. Justice League, yeah, not my favorite movie, but the cast was one of the positive things that so worked for me in that movie. I think Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is fantastic. Jason Momoa brings a fresh life to Aquaman on the big screen that we desperately needed for that character, and he does a great job in that role. Ezra Miller, I thought, was a good Flash, brought some good humor. Ray Fisher, I'd like to see more of him as Cyborg, and I keep hearing there was more of him as Cyborg in the original Snyder Cut and his vision and stuff, so I'd be curious to get that and see the bigger role that he played. I love Jeremy Irons as Alfred. That dude is a great Alfred, and Ben Affleck, man, especially in Batman vs. Superman, I enjoyed his dark, gritty take on Batman. He did a great job in that role. Love Henry Cavill as Superman, and on I can go. I just feel like the overall casting of the DCEU really has been fantastic. Number 2, the risk-taking. Now, there are some ways this risk-taking has paid off, and there's a lot of ways that it just fell flat on its face. Since this is a video focusing on the positives, that's where I'm going to keep my focus. My 2 primary examples of the positives comes from Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. Man of Steel, I thought it like 100% paid off. Like, for me, I love Man of Steel. I think that movie's fantastic. On Adam Daly's channel, I did a video with him called Love It or Hate It, and I gave 5 reasons why I love Man of Steel. So to get more of a detailed take on what I love about Man of Steel and my arguments for it, definitely go over to his channel and check out that video. I had a blast doing that. But just to kind of sum it up right here, I liked the take of Superman because it reminded me of the Dark Knight trilogy. This is the real world, and it's grounded, and how would a vigilante like Batman exist in that world? And I feel like that's what they were attempting to do with Man of Steel, and for me that worked. Because in our world, we fear what's different. We really do. And Clark Kent is an alien from another planet, and he's about as different as it gets. So he's got a trepidation, knowing that mankind fears what is different, and knowing that he's incredibly different. Finally, he comes into the light to save the world when Zod shows up, but he can't help himself throughout the movie. He has to save people. Where there's trouble, he helps simply because he can. So we still have that characteristic in Clark Kent's heart throughout the movie, but he tries to keep it more hidden because of, you know, stuff. People are really, really mean. You've only to look at comment sections on the internet to see that. So for me, taking a more gritty approach to Superman was a risk that, in my opinion, paid off because it was a look at how would somebody like Superman actually exist in our world. The other example I have is Batman vs. Superman, and all the risks for that did not pay off for me. But what did really work for me was Ben Affleck's Batman. I also respect they weren't trying to conform to the pattern that works for the MCU. They were trying to establish something different. And I greatly respect that, even in those areas where maybe I didn't agree with the risk that they took, but I at least respect that they were trying to be bold and they were trying to do something different so audiences feel like, at least with these movies, they'll get something different. Nothing wrong with the MCU and nothing wrong with their pattern. But why make everything follow that pattern? Because then it gets stale. We gotta explore. So I actually respect that that's what they were trying to do. Number 3, amazing solo films. These characters are amazing characters with deep mythologies, fantastic stories, and great worlds all around them. And so when the DCEU has not been focused on the great big universe that they have to build, but they've been focused on the one hero and the one hero story, I feel like it's been awesome results every time. So there it is. Those are my top 3 positives for the DCEU. What are your top 3 positives for the DCEU? That doesn't mean you have to love everything that they've done, but if you had to take a moment and focus on what's good about it, what are the top 3 things you can think of? Let's talk in the comments, and while you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian, and hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for my next movie review, ranking video, theological analysis, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.